Hello, today is the 16th of November, a warm sunny November afternoon in southern England. I don't know what the temperatures are doing at the moment, but it's nice, I guess, to be able to easily work outside. I don't normally record when there's the amount of wind that there is at the moment because it interrupts the microphone, which is why I'm holding it in the way I am. So I'm just introducing this video and then I'll overdub later so you can understand more clearly what I'm saying. But what today's video is about is planting autumn raspberries.
This is a bare root raspberry plant. The variety I'm planting is called Autumn Treasure. This is the best time of year to plant bare root plants, any bare root plant in southern England, because the dormant period runs from about November to March over the winter time, when things aren't actively growing, but putting them in now helps them to bed themselves in so they're ready to go in the spring. These were delivered by courier, which means they've been packed in a parcel. So the first thing I did when they arrived was to open them and to put their roots in water for a couple of hours. If you can't plant them immediately, either because you haven't got time or because the ground's frozen or it's too waterlogged, then you can find some moist soil somewhere and just dig a little hole and put them in, just to keep the roots moist until you're in a position to plant them properly. This is the bed I'm going to use to plant the raspberries. I have actually used this bed for Autumn Treasure raspberries in the past, and normally it's not a very good idea to replant things in the same soil as they were recently planted in, because of diseases in the soil that might affect the same plants again. Although what I've done here is in effect made a raised bed. That box you can see around the bed was already there, but it wasn't a raised bed, it was to keep straw in. Straw is an excellent way of suppressing weeds in situations like with raspberry canes, where you don't necessarily know where they're going to come up each year. I mean, as you probably saw or could have seen in video 66, when I did exactly the same thing with the strawberries, I put weed suppressant fabric down because I know where they are. But here, even this section of bed I'll cover with straw. So I've filled that up with garden compost that's mixed with bloodfish and bone. And in that sort of area, I've got 5 plants to plant, which gives a spacing of about a foot or 18 inches between each cane. Unlike summer raspberries, autumn raspberries are largely self-supporting. You can see on the far side of the bed a frame that sort of slopes away from the bed, and if they get a bit big and heavy, they sort of gently settle down on that, which I've found to be a helpful way to set them up for picking rather than having any wires in the bed itself. Thinking about planting depth, they don't want to be planted too deep, or the canes which will come up and produce fruit on the year after next won't make it to the surface and survive. A good marker is to bury them to is where they were in the ground before they were dug up as bare root plants, which I think is a bit below this. Probably about here. There's a root there. If it goes into roughly that level, there'll probably be about 3 inches of earth above the bottom roots, which is probably a good marker. Some books recommend only putting 1 inch or 2 inches over the roots. Others recommend 3 inches, but I don't know anybody that would say plant them any deeper than that, so be cautious not to plant them too deeply. Okay, well, let's put the middle one in so I can space the 2 on either side of it more easily. And I think by the time I've put this in the hole, filled it and gently firmed it in, we'll probably have most of the roots around 3 inches below the surface of the bed. Okay, that's the 5 canes planted. Just remains to water them in, bed them in a little bit. Autumn raspberries are described as prima cane varieties. That means that the fruit will form on the canes that start to grow next spring, and we'll get some fruit August, September time. That's opposed to the floricane varieties, the summer raspberries, where the fruit appears on the canes that grew on the previous year. I've just put some straw on the top to suppress the weeds. That stops most of the weeds from growing, and the ones that do come through are just very easily pulled out.
Well, hopefully I can get a final word in between gusts of wind. So as usual, I hope you found something useful or interesting in this video, and thank you very much for watching.